Hello, love warriors, and welcome to another video. I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know in the comment section how life has been. It's been really chaotic in the world, a bunch of truths being revealed, a bunch of just world politics being exposed, but we hold love in our hearts. We embody love in our actions because that is part of who we are. That is part of our duty, our mission, and what we want to experience in this life, right? So let me know how you guys are handling everything that's going on in the world, and how are you guys doing? How are you guys relaxing? How are you guys taking care of your needs? If you are new to my channel, welcome, welcome. My name is Just Flo, and I am a love alchemy coach. And what do we do here? We transmute love blocks, confusion, and relational wounds into empowered movement. Why? Because we have a legacy to build here, a legacy of love, and that's why we call ourselves the love warrior, right? We literally embody love, and we go out into the world, the chaotic world, and we experience that, and we need energy and power to be able to do that. So the whole channel is about stepping into your power. So welcome, and I hope you guys stay. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, guys, if you're not subscribed. And let's get into this video. I'm very excited about this video. Actually, I'm always excited about the videos, right? All the themes I come up with for you guys are always related to your journey and your growth and answering the questions that you need to know to be able to gain more momentum. So let's get into it. Let me get my questions. So the theme is the real reason you ignore your needs in relationships. So let's go into the questions that you guys have asked me and breaking them down so that you actually have what you need to move forward and to move past this. So question number 1, why do I feel guilty for having needs in relationships? So easy answer. You guys know I like to go for easy answer. Your needs weren't respected in your home environment. Your needs weren't respected in your childhood. And so how do you expect them to be respected in these new relationships? And like I always say, relationships are with everything. They're not just intimate relationships. It could be with colleagues, it could be with advisors, it could be with friends, it could be with acquaintances. The point is, it could be authority figures, right? But the point is that they weren't respected at home. They weren't respected by the people that taught you how the world operates. So you're obviously going to think in your brain the information that, due to the information that was taken in my past, that means in the future, it's very likely that my needs aren't going to be respected. And so then you learn to feel guilty when you have needs, because I know this person isn't going to receive my needs and isn't going to do anything about my needs. It might even trigger them that I have needs. So I feel bad because I have these needs, but I'm bothering this person with my needs. I was taught that my needs weren't important. So I feel bad for even bringing it up. Whereas as children, our needs are the most important thing at that time. We're going through all these developmental stages, and so we actually need to be catered to, and we need to receive all this I don't want to call it attention, because it's not really attention that you're receiving. It's resources, it's information you're absorbing, you're imitating, you're learning. You're like a sponge, right? So you're receiving all this energy, and you need to receive all that energy for you to grow and to go through the stages in a healthy way. But if you're not given all that you need, all the energy that you need, all the attention that you need, all the love that you need, all the patience that you need, all the calm that you need, you learn to put it to the side. And so you can't go to the next stage in life, and so you get stuck there. So no matter what relationship you're in, you're always going to be in that phase where my needs were not met. And so I'm stuck here because I don't believe that my needs will be met in the future. And this becomes an automatic inner dialogue. So as a child, it's going to be like, oh, I asked mom for this. She didn't give it to me. She said, wait, or no, or, she said something that excused my needs. So I came back, I asked again, she said something that excused my needs. So you learn to not go even ask. You learn to not even show that you want that because you know the answer already. And so that's what your nervous system learns. And so now it becomes automatic. You don't even have to, oh, mom is going to say this, or dad's going to say this, or grandma's going to say this, or grandpa's going to say that. You know automatically what they're going to say. And so that behavior is reinforced if you now go to school and it's the same. If you have friends that mimic or resemble how your parents react with you or your guardians react with you, and it's reinforced. And so now you go into work and it's reinforced, and you go into relationships and it's reinforced. And it's because you never learned how to respect your own needs, because your needs you were never shown how to respect your needs. So I hope that makes sense. So basically, love, because we're talking about love here, right? Especially, love is the best teacher. Patience, because with love comes kindness, comes compassion, comes understanding, comes this sense of bracing someone wholeheartedly and not making them feel low for being who they naturally are. So love was tied to obedience. It wasn't tied to authenticity. You received love because you listened to what your parents, your guardians had to say. And so you were now the good child because you're obedient. You're contained, you're calm. And you're calm because you realize that your needs aren't met. So what's the point of acting up? But there's also the opposite, where people do act up to receive that love. And so they find that, oh, if I'm rebellious, I get some type of attention. And so that attention becomes attached to love. That person must love me because they're scolding me. That person must love me because they're beating me. That person must love me because they're looking at me. So then you create guilt survival mechanisms. And where does that fall in our levels of consciousness? It falls at the bottom. There's shame, and then there's guilt. So on the levels of consciousness, you're very low when you go into guilt when you're in relationships. When you feel like, oh, I can't show who I really am. I need to tend to this person. And you keep all that guilt. It accumulates. And since we're talking about, I've told you guys that everything is tied to how we live, the simulation that we live in, the matrix that we live in, the chaos that we live in, right? It's tied to that because there's egregores that I talked about in the last video, thought forms. And these thought forms harvest off of energies. And if you want to learn more of this, I recommend that you guys join my 16-day Anchored in Love reset, because I do a lesson on egregores and the rulers of the world, if you guys want to dive deeper into that, and if it's something that you're interested in. Okay, so guilt on the levels of consciousness, it's a very low vibration, and so very low vibrations get harvested. And so there's an exchange of energy. Everything is an exchange, right? So let's say you feel guilty, you're in a relationship, you feel guilty, your needs are not met. An egregore comes, takes that, harvests that energy. And what does that egregore give you in exchange? It gives you more of what you believe, which is that your needs are not met. And so you'll see that show up in different circumstances in your life, because there's an exchange, there's an alliance, there's a tie. And yes, it's very easy to blame our parents, and I get it. There's anger, but even if you go to anger, actually that's better than being in guilt, right? Because in guilt, you're really suffocating yourself. In anger, at least you're blowing up and you know where the issue was. And so that's why in most of my programs, we go to the root of who are you, because you need to understand where you came from, where you live, and where you're going. So your nervous system then equates self-expression with disconnection. It's bracing for, well, not bracing, it's knowing that your needs are not going to get met. So it stops expressing. And so when it stops expressing, the energy levels go down. And the lower your energy levels, the more you go numb. The more you become distant. The more you get disconnected from what sparks that creativity in children, what sparks that curiosity, that being adventurous, that asking questions, being inquisitive, just having that spark of life. Over time, because of conditioning and because of programming and because of not having needs that are met, We learn that it's easier to just follow what everybody else is doing rather than doing what we want, especially if we actually never learned what we want, because every time we wanted something, it was negated. And so you just go through life like an NPC, like an NPC. So why do you feel guilty for having needs in relationships? Because those needs were never respected. And so since they were never respected, you now have this emotion that's like, I'm bothersome. Yeah. Harsh, eh? Very harsh. Whew. It's hard out here, guys. It is hard out here. A lot of times we're told, no, we need to think it's easy. But I think the fact that we know it's hard and trying to understand your own needs, that's when it becomes easy, because you know what you truly want. Sorry, I put my thing down. But the process to understanding what you really want is hard. It's challenging. It's challenging, but it's worth it. Question number 2. Why is it hard for me to speak up even when I know I deserve better? You were in an environment where you weren't allowed to speak up, where your voice didn't want to be heard. And when I say didn't want to be heard, I'm saying didn't want to be heard by the people around you. Where they thought you were too young to understand anything, where they thought you were too young to have an opinion, where they thought you were too young to even think of an outcome, a solution to everything that they were imposing on you. And so your throat chakra became loyal to your household because you're not allowed to speak. You listen, you stay in the house, you stay calm, you be a good child, and we'll take care of you. We'll give you a roof and we'll feed you. And so you became silent, you became quiet, and I talk about that in another video if you guys want to check that video out. I cannot remember the title of that video. But you learned that autonomy is unsafe because you put yourself in the limelight, and being in the limelight in a family that does things this way, that learn to do things in a way that benefits their needs instead of the children's needs, in an environment where the children are not supposed to thrive, the adults are supposed to thrive, and the children are supposed to follow, you become loyal to that. You become loyal to the tradition. You become loyal to the circumstances. You become loyal to being invisible, and they reward you actually for when you show that obedience that we talked about, love tied to obedience. Because now, let's say you go to school, you have an education, or you are a sports player, or you're a chess player, but you're good at something. They reward you for that. They say, oh, my child's amazing for that. So you now have intellectual confidence. You're now told, oh, you're brilliant, you're a genius, you're great, you have all these things that are amazing that their children want, and the parents or the guardians start to believe it's because of the system that they've brought you up in. Whereas it's more that you've learned how to cope with your circumstances. And so you don't have emotional safety, you have an intellectual confidence. And when you're not in the safety of your intellectual confidence, you fall apart. You have anxiety, you have stress, you have depression, you have solitude syndrome. I made that up, but it's basically where you want to isolate yourself, or you want to be constantly surrounded by people, because that's when you feel like, okay, you have to have attention on you, or you have to have zero attention on you. You're not comfortable in things that expose you to judgment, because you saw judgment in your parents' eyes, you saw distaste in their eyes, you saw annoyance. Annoyance and irritation is the biggest one, where you feel like you're bothersome to them. You feel like you're a burden to them. So why is it hard for you to speak up? Because speaking up does nothing for you. It literally does nothing for you. It doesn't help you become more of who you are. We want children that are confident in speaking their mind. My daughter's 2, and she already communicates certain things. Like this morning, I was dressing her up to go to daycare, and she ran away when I was about to put her jacket. She let me dress her up. She asked me, she said, this dress, like she knows what dress. I had already dressed her up. She saw an orange dress. She said if she wants to wear that orange dress. So I put that orange dress on her. But if I ignored her, she'll stop asking me to put certain clothes on her. She'll just put what I want her to wear. She'll never be comfortable being creative in dressing herself up. And then I'm about to put her jacket on her and she runs away. And my uncle was like, oh, she wants to stay home. She wants a PA day. And then she like goes behind him and she's like, Papa. And basically what she's saying is that she wants her dad to take her to daycare. So I call her dad. And as soon as she sees her dad, she goes to her jacket and she's ready to go into her jacket to go to daycare. So she already knows how to express herself. She already knows what she wants. And so if I forced her to go into the jacket without calling her dad, there would be a conflict there. I would feel drained. I will feel mad. I will feel exhausted. She'll feel unheard. And so I'm teaching her that her thoughts, her emotions don't matter. And so what do you think that will do for her in future relationships, whether it's with women or with men? There'll be a conflict there. You know how there's this whole thing about women don't like each other? It starts from childhood. If you're constantly in battle with the female models in your life, and the female role models in your life, that's going to transfer to the women that are around you, your friends, your acquaintances. You guys are always being competitive and fighting for the same things, even though you might not even want the same things. You just want to show that you're better than this person because you're fighting your mother or you're fighting your father. And so that goes into, it ingrains into your behavior. And you don't speak up for what you truly want. You're speaking up to fight what you didn't receive. And so, one more story. I was talking to my father and I said, you could have imposed on me back in 2018. I'm like, you could have been like, you guys need to, me and my partner, you guys need to get married. The marriage thing is a whole other discussion, but basically short story is, he was like, oh, I'm like, you could have, if it would really matter to you for us to get married, then you should have told us in 2018 and we would have done it. And he's like, you were even worse then, like, you probably would have fought me even more then. And I'm like, well, obviously, because I was in this conflict with mom, right? So anything that she wanted or anything, the way she said it, I felt like I had to fight back. I felt like we were in an emotional battle where I had to defend myself against the things that she wanted to impose on me, right? So obviously there was that fight back, right? But if we had sat down and like really understood what was going on and at the core, we could have fixed, we could have mended some of the hurt, some of the misunderstandings, some of the way that we had been towards each other, and it would have created different circumstances in the relationship as a family. And so that's the same with you. If you don't change how you talk to yourself, if you don't change how you understand yourself, if you don't understand who you truly are and what it is that you truly want to speak out and what you truly want to express and what you truly want to embrace and what you truly want to embody, you're not going to be able to mend the hurt feelings that you have, the relational wounds that you have, the confusion that you have. You're not going to be able to be empowered in what you truly want to speak up for and who you truly want to be. You're always going to be fighting a battle of things that you feel threatened by because that's how you were taught loyalty. And so when I say your throat chakra is loyal to your household imposed certain behaviors on you and you became loyal to that. And so when you grow up and you see that, okay, this is still the same type of environment as when I was a child, you might not even realize, but you see how you defend yourself, or you see how you stay silent, or you see how you tear up when there's an authority figure around you, or you see how you get angry when you're not heard. That's because you're still in that environment. You're still in that memory. You're still in the past. Okay. So yeah, using your voice feels like a threat, not empowerment. Yeah, so for things like this, it's very helpful to do voice activation. Like humming, singing, flowing, dancing, painting, anything that allows you to flow with your emotions. All right, let's get into question 3. before we get into question 3, I hope you guys realize the similarities in all these questions, and really getting to the root of where you learn to be like this. And most of the time it's your childhood. It's where you grew up. It's what you learned to be, and not who you really are. So let's get into question 3. Am I a bad person for wanting something different than what my family taught me? No. You are not a bad person for wanting something than what they taught you. What you want, you'll never know the truth of what you want unless you go against what they taught you. You'll always be practicing the same things as them and being the same result as them, because you're not brave enough, or you're not courageous enough, or you don't have enough energy to go for what you really want. And so you end up being what do you call? A sheep, an NPC, a couch potato. Because you're not willing. It's a will. You're not willing to, and this is where the warrior part comes in, right? To protect. Because the warrior is not really about fighting. It's about protecting what's already inside of you and activating that courage and that energy within you to go for what you want regardless of the circumstances, and having the protection around you, because you are going to be fought. You're going to be fought by your family, you're going to be fought by your friends, you're going to be fought by the system, and that's why you need to keep upgrading your environment to resemble what you truly feel inside, to embody and to flow with your level of consciousness, with your level of awareness, with your level of life. I feel that in my solar plexus, guys, because living as your truth in a world that it was like designed to write your story, it's empowering, it's scary, it's uplifting, it's changing, it's all these emotions, and sometimes all these emotions can really come for us, right? And so you feel like the black sheep, you feel bad, you feel crazy, you feel like, what is wrong with me? Like, and you don't always have all the pieces. You're piecing it together through your experience, right? Through your behavior, through your thinking, you're piecing it together. And so people that think they have it together, people that think they understand how life works and how it operates and how to be successful, they will have an opinion on the things that you do, but you're not going for the same thing that they're going for. Especially if you're in this platform, especially if you're working with me, we're going for love. We're embodying love. We're increasing love. We're creating safe, calm spaces of patience, of abundance, of love for the next generation, for ourselves. We're healing the parts of ourselves that were never understood. We're healing the parts of ourselves that we never got to access intuitively, gifts, sentiently, audio, whatever gifts that you have, they're there for a reason. And just because they were shut down doesn't mean that you can't reactivate that. So you're not a bad person. You're literally the person that is exploring self. And explore self to the fullest. Even if you feel selfish. I know being selfish and having judgment can create this fear within you. And fear really keeps you stagnant. Fear's two things. Either it will keep you stagnant and keep you stuck and keep you contained. Or it'll motivate you, because you know that if you don't do what you want to do, then it's assured death. And we're scared of death, right? It's not even that we're scared of death. We want to live. We have this like deep will to live. And so if your mindset and your perspective is that I need to obey and I need to stay loyal to this to live, then you're going to keep doing the behaviors and the conditioning and the programming that you've been taught. But if your perspective is that I need to explore deep love, I need to feel patience, I need to feel calm, I need to feel nature, I need to be in tune with nature, I need to embody source, I need to become this movement of life and just feel all these amazing emotions, then that's life for you. And becoming a sheep or following the mass is death for you. And so it depends on your perspective. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but for me, my soul's growth, my spiritual growth, love really matters to me. And so that's why I go on this journey no matter how challenging. This is why I stick with it. I've gone through so many things, guys. And every time I feel like I want to give up, I'm like, I can't. The alternative is just, it doesn't make sense to me, the alternative. And so I just keep going because that's what I keep learning. I keep growing. Even when I go backwards, I'm like, okay, I went backwards, but I have the tools because I've been here before. So I can move forward and I can get out of this and I can change my spaces. I can change my mind. I can increase my energy and then go to the next level and learn more. And I can learn from other people. And even when if for those of you that work with me, you know that even when we're in a session, I learn from you guys, you learn from me. There's an exchange there and we grow together. So don't be scared of being selfish, because what you want, if it's good for you, it's good for others. Don't be scared of being rebellious. The biggest thing, especially in African households, is you're ungrateful. You're an ungrateful child after everything I did for you. What are you talking about? What did you do for me? You put a roof over my head. You gave me food. And then what else? What else did you give me? What else was the inheritance that you passed to me? What was the traditions that you passed to me that is supposed to make me thrive emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially? I'm supposed to be thriving with everything you gave me. So why do I feel like something is missing? And then after, when I feel like something is missing, you tell me that I'm ungrateful. And so I'm not even being heard. So am I really the bad person? And it's not to blame and be like, you're the bad person, because that person has also gone through those stages. It's like an initiation process. Those stages that you were at, except they decided to fold and to mend and to be molded into the masses. And you decided to become a new, beautiful sculpture. So it's like you're supposed to appreciate the crumbs, but the crumbs aren't enough to fill you up. And so you're still starving. And use that feeling of, I'm starving for love. I'm starving for understanding. I'm starving to live in a world that truly understands what it means to be in tune with self, with all the parts of this complex biology, this complex multi-dimensional being. I want to understand that. I want to live that, and I want to grow through that. Okay, so in this so we were talking about, am I a bad person for wanting something different than what my family taught me? And I think because of what they taught you, there's this internalized, so back to African households or immigrant households, there's this thing that I'm the eldest, right? You're the eldest, you have to do this. You're the second born, you have to do this. You're the last born, you have to be like this. So there's this internalized responsibility for the family. But sometimes they just dump things on you and they say that you're the first, so you have to do this, because they don't want to do it themselves. They're not equipped to do it themselves. They're not equipped to communicate well. They're not equipped or have the energy to actually show up. And so they see you have energy. They see your siblings get along with you, or they see that, okay, wait, my child is here and she's great. Or he's great. Let me ask them to do it. Let them show up. And so because of your presence, there's this stability in the family. And so you get attached to that stability, that when I show up or when I do this for the family, everything is okay. And so being your own person now becomes like you're betraying the family. And so that's where that sense of being bad is. But you're not bad for wanting to be your own person. At the end of the day, you're going to have your own family. You're going to have your own community. You're going to have your own friends. And you want to show up authentically as yourself and not as someone that had to be responsible in their family. And that's why you see some people, they'll act certain ways in families and then they'll act completely different when they're outside, because there's this bipolarity, there's this duality that hasn't been meshed to become one. And so that's when you start doing some crazy shit, because nobody knows you outside. So you can be whoever you want. You can give yourself whatever personality you want. You can give yourself whatever name you want. You can give yourself whatever characteristics you want, because nobody is going to, you're not going to have the consequences that you have at home outside. So yeah. But there's this disparity in your truth, because you're lying to yourself and you're hiding yourself. And so for some people, they learn who they really are outside. And when you learn that, don't be afraid to come back to your family and be like, this is who I really am. Don't have that double life. So why do I automatically choose my partner's comfort over my own? And this goes back to relationships. You were constantly taught that your choices didn't matter, that somebody else's choices mattered over yours. And so your partner doesn't have to know that, or like they don't have to know that you are choosing them over yourself. They'll just start to feel like, oh, okay, she's always putting me first, or he's always putting me first, or they're always putting me first. And so it becomes like this automatic dynamic in your relationship, where you can be sacrificed because you've always tended to them. And so they get used to that, and their nervous system and their brain is now expecting that, because that's always been the dynamic. So you can't just change who you are. What's the problem now? Why would you just change who you are? That's why it's best to know yourself before you go into a relationship, because a relationship is going to open you up to new emotions, to new feelings, to new situations, and you're going to have to get to know yourself even deeper. So it's not until you are sure and confident in what you want that you should get into a relationship, because there's going to be things that make you question, like, do I like this? Do I not like this? Do I want to learn more about this? Do I want to back up in this? And if you're not someone that can speak up for yourself, if you're not someone that can choose yourself over your partner, if you're not someone that can put love for yourself first, you're going to lose yourself in this relationship, and you're going to be miserable. So why do you do it automatically? Because you've learned it automatically. So being present, become present. What am I doing? Become intentional, become conscious. What am I doing? Why am I bringing this to him when he could do it himself? Why am I running to get that quickly when I can take my time? Why am I showing up with flowers at her work when she doesn't even like flowers? I'm just trying to look a certain way. Why am I planning all these things when we don't even have the money for this? Like, why am I putting so much effort into something that I cannot sustain and that will blow back in my face? Yeah, let me get comfortable. That will blow back in my face. And literally, you were taught people pleasing at a very young age. You were taught that other people's needs come before yours. And this became a role. And so you're still in that role play, but it's not your personality. And you have to discover who your personality is what your personality is before you take on this role as your personality. A lot of people take on roles as their personality. I'm a doctor. You're not a doctor. You're a person that practices medicine. I'm this. You're not that. Like, there's so much essence to you. There's so much power to you. There's so much brilliance to you. There's so much to you. And so you can't put that under one category. So even me, when I say I'm a love alchemy coach, there's so much love, different types of love. There's so much that I can alchemize with. And coaching is just, I'm just guiding myself, guiding my audience, guiding the people around me. I work with people in my family. I work with my friends. I work with new clients. And I have a lot more things that I want to work with. But you can't categorize me under one thing, because I love to have fun. I love to play. I have a daughter. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. There's so many. I love to travel. There's like just so many parts to me that you can't just put me under one bracket. And you're not allowed to put me under one bracket either, because I don't want to stay in the box that you have created for me. I want to expand this box. I want to expand this love. I want to expand this experience. And I want to do what feels right for me. And I want to teach my daughter and my children that what feels right for me is okay to pursue. And for the longest time as children, we weren't allowed to pursue what we wanted because our parents weren't prepared mentally, emotionally, financially, physically, spiritually. They weren't prepared. They didn't have the protection available. They didn't have the resources because it's not something that was a priority to them. And so we felt the lack of because of something that wasn't a priority to them. And so you come into this family and you're like, okay, interesting. Wow, can I go there? Can I do this? Can I try that? And they're like, no, no, no. And so it's not even protection. It's you start to leak energy. You start to be exposed to low vibrational feelings, emotions, especially if it wasn't talked about and explained and understood that this is why we're doing this. This is why we're teaching you this. This is why we do things in this way. This is what it means to our family. This is what it means to the next generation and the generation after that and the generation after that. And so you're put in this limbo where what you think and what you want doesn't matter. You just follow what happens here and you learn about what happens here. And so now we have all these TikTok things where the millennials especially are like, now it's my turn. And you see them doing things that parents, and the song, and I'm probably like my anyways, but it's like, yeah, now it's my turn to do what my parents did to me, right? And it's just this perpetration of the same thought process, the same thought form, the same programming that's just continuing without being reset, without being rebooted, without being upgraded, without being updated, without being even changed out, and just throw out the whole computer. So yeah, so now your nervous system is tracking approval over truth. Your nervous system is written or programmed, or the app inside of you is like, we're looking for approval, looking for approval, looking for approval. Scratch truth, throw the truth out, swallow down your truth, put it in your gut, put it in your spine, put it in your back, put it in your feet. Because we're looking for approval. We survive off of approval. And so you learn to ignore yourself. You learn to be invisible. You learn that being calm and the good child is equal to safety. It's equal to being loved. It's equal to belonging. I belong, I'm loved, and I belong because I'm a good child. I'm a good child. And outside you're like, everyone congratulate, oh, you're a baddie, oh, you're a bad boy. You're like, yeah, you got approval outside the house and inside the house. So you were trained to love yourself. You were trained to lose yourself for the sake of love. I want you guys to really take that in. You were trained to lose yourself for the sake of love. Isn't that heartbreaking, guys? That breaks my heart. I find that so heartbreaking. And so now if you want to find yourself back home, if you want to claim back love, if you want to claim back your sovereign energy, then you can join one of my programs. Link is in the bio. I have 4 or 5 programs that I have built beautifully, guys, honestly. They're beautifully made for deconditioning, truth holding, conscious choice, and embodying. That's my framework. That's what works for me. That's what works for my clients. That's what works for my audience. That's what works for my family that actually do and participate in what I've learned and grown in. And so if you want to join the programs. So yeah, I think that's all we have for today. Nothing is worth losing yourself over. There's no relationship in anything where you have to give up on your authentic energy, your authentic brilliance, your authentic radiance to get that thing. Now, where you're able to say, okay, I'm willing to go through this challenge. I know it's going to be hard. I know I'm going to be angry. I know it's going to be rough. I know I'm going to feel sad sometimes, but it's worth what I want to become. That's different because you're not stifling your energy. You're not stifling your personality. You're not stifling who you really are. You're just adding parts to yourself so that you can overcome challenges and be more of who you are. Don't take pieces away from yourself. Embrace all that you are and expand by receiving more. Receive more. Allow yourself to receive more, even through challenges, even through struggles, even through pain. Allow yourself to receive more. You don't have to go through struggles, and there's always going to be challenges, but you don't have to go through struggles and pain. It doesn't have to be harming to you, to your soul, to who you are. Yeah, basically to your soul in essence, because sometimes it can be physically like painful, but you don't want it to harm your soul, because that divides you and it fragments you even more, and it allows space for entities to instill themselves in you. And so you'll start doing things that you're like, why did I do that? And you did that because you were so hurt that you couldn't tolerate that hurt. You were so alone that you couldn't tolerate it anymore. So you called in entities that made you feel strong, that made you feel like you weren't alone. But we already have natural guides around us. We already have natural warmth around us. We already have source within us. And so we're never alone. And in moments of solitude where they were imposed on you, you can take that time to be like, wow, this is hard. Let me breathe. Let me calm myself. Let me get my mind together. Let me get my perspective as one, so that when I get out of this, I'm not blaming. I'm not contempt. I don't feel guilty. I don't even feel bad for what I did, because I know that I did it from my heart. And so that's what we want to teach our children, that if they defy us, that they do it for their highest and greatest good. And they don't do it because they're trying to mesh and mend and belong a system that was never meant to help them. You're their guides. You're meant to help them. You're meant to teach them. You're meant to look out for them. And so if they defy you, it's because they know there's something that you have told them or shown them that is not aligned with what they want. And so you respect that, and you show them you can respect that because you know who you are. You know what you want, because I taught you how to go for what you want. And so you might have challenges, and I'm not always going to help you with those challenges, but you will overcome those challenges because you have everything you need. And that's the same thing that I want to tell you guys. You have everything you need. You've gone through the worst. You're now aware. You're now inquisitive. You're now curious. You're now more calm. Or if you're not more calm and you're chaotic, you're learning to become more calm. And if you need deeper work, then one of my programs is available. But you can do that as well, where you sit with yourself, sit with your thoughts, sit with your emotions, sit with your behaviors, and you look at them and you don't judge them. And you say, wow, when did I learn to do this? When did I learn to be like this? This isn't really who I am. This isn't what I really want to experience. This is not how I want to live my life. And I'm allowed to decide differently. I'm allowed to embody differently. So yeah, hope you guys have a good day. I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.